Hi, everyone. Coach Mo Fall here. I've been helping coach professional women up level their careers, their promotions, their earning power through the inside out. I was a COO for a large national healthcare company. And prior to that, I was a national director for another large healthcare company across the country. I spent the last 8 years of my life working in large organizations, having climbed my way up the ladder by falling down many times from registered nurse to healthcare executive. I know what work life balance means. I know what it means to be a working mom. I also know what it means to be successful from the inside out. And I've helped over 2,000 women over the past 10 years define who they are at the soul level and use that interior, internal power to help navigate their corporate world, their work life harmony, and be the woman that they've always wanted to be. We come back to ourselves when we find our soul. One of the most interesting things about having a career as a woman is that most women don't typically focus on their salary as one of the top two or three items. I've interviewed thousands of women over the years, and most women want to make a difference. They want to help people, and they want to help make the world a better place. And if the money's okay, that's cool. That's a little bit of a different take than what the game of the workplace is. The game of the workplace is to win. And I'm going to blend this in with price inflation. Because while I was watching the Super Bowl and listening to all the pundits and the stuff on social media, I heard the chicken wing prices are up 60% over the last 5 years, 24% over the last year. I'm like, chicken wings. Okay, there's the bird flu, there's this and that. But then you look at milk prices, they're up 20 to 25% over the last 5 years. The inflationary index since the pandemic has been volatile. And if your income has not had an equal volatility pacing forward, you're well behind. And what does that mean in specific numbers for you? It means that if you were making $125,000 in the year 2020, you should have left 2025 making 150. If you were making 150 in 2020, you should have left 2025 making 187.5. Now, that might seem like a big chunk, and like, I'm not even close to that. No, I haven't made 25% over the past 5 years. I'm making like 2, maybe even like less than 2% on a merit or cost of living increase. These are the ways that companies basically keep a rein on their expenses, because most companies' main expense is their workforce. Of course, depending on the industry, et cetera, but workforce is a huge, huge line item. So in order to keep that cost more predictable, they don't increase it. And as much as they can get out of you for what they're paying you, that's the game at the corporate level. I've been in boardrooms. I've been in big executive meetings. Not that we're trying to like punish people, but we're trying to make the profit and loss statement work. We're trying to get all of the numbers to be favorable so that our investors or shareholders get what they want to get, because that's their part of the game. A lot of women find this to be disheartening and unjust and unfair. And I get that. I get that. But it is the game of work. Whether you're in a nonprofit, an educational institution, healthcare, publicly traded company, small company, big company, I've been in all of them. And I'll tell you this, once I figured out that that's the name of the game, not to fight it and not to put so much effort toward wanting it to be different, because it is a game and it's just part of your life. Now, I know it's a big part of your life because you're spending a lot of hours, not only at work, producing, running your teams, managing your boss, your colleagues, getting stuff done and feeling like if I could just get this done and be seen, I could get the promotion and finally get the money that matches up with who I am. And one of the things that is holding most women back is that you don't take the time to calibrate your worth. You don't take the time to investigate your worth. And another big aspect is not taking the time to have the conversations that are necessary, and not just with your boss, but with other colleagues in your organization to ask them to be your allies. So let's break this down. How do you get your salary to be moving forward like chicken wings or milk prices? You have to start with knowing who you are. You bring education, expertise, and experience to the table. I want you to take a moment to just identify what those three things include for you. And if you have to stop this podcast or this video right now, go ahead and do that. Education, expertise, experience. Now, your first answers may be a little vague. Perhaps you got the education down, you got the bachelor's degree, you got a master's in this, you got that certification. That's a little bit easier and more tangible. But what experience are you bringing? And not just 20 years, 25 years, not just that. But what have you been experienced in? Have you run large teams? Have you been responsible for a $50 million budget? Have you been responsible for increasing sales? Have you been responsible for decreasing risk and liability for your company? Have you instituted programs, software, enterprise-wide things that have made a difference? Get clear on that. Get real clear on that. And then add in expertise. So if that's been your experience, what are you actually expert at? One of the things I was expert at in my career was developing teams to handle and scale growth. All of the positions I had all my career outside of my original nursing positions were for organizations that wanted to grow. And I found that to be a magnet for me. I liked growing organizations. I liked scaling things. I liked putting operational things in place that were able to be then stacked on top of. So my expertise was growing and changing organizations. I was able to put pieces together, see a vision, and construct the roadmap to get there. Not unlike what I've had to do as an entrepreneur and a coach over the last 12 years. I've spent the last 10 years helping women navigate that language, helping them create the language about their education, experience, and expertise. This is an important factor, an important factor. And as you're understanding the desire that you have inside of you to always be growing, it's part of the soul's journey to always be growing. You can't let life outpace you. I know, it's hard work. Accountable. You got to be responsible. You got to set some boundaries, places where you have energy leaks. I talk about all of these aspects in other podcasts and trainings that I do. I'm going to tell you what. I have been able to put a coach in your pocket for a reasonable monthly investment. You can have all of this expertise, even the expertise to say, hey, I scaled a company over the last 5 years from 10 million to 50 million. Help me put that into a challenge, action, result framework that I can then discuss and put on my LinkedIn and have that be one of the frameworks of my resume. My coach bot named Moby is going to write that for you. She's also then going to start understanding who you are and understanding all the aspects of what you bring to the table. And therefore, the conversations get better. You're more than a chicken wing, and you're more than milk. I know all of that. You're more than an avocado. You are a unique human being with expertise, experience, and education. And if you don't feel that you've been leveraging those things in your career, you need support. And there's nothing wrong with that. Today's life is complex, multifaceted, overwhelming, and there's so many rabbit holes to suck your energy. In today's political environment, I've spent way too much time down rabbit holes of headlines and all sorts of, I don't want to do that. I meditate every single morning. I also have created a journaling habit that I pass on to my clients. It's called the 10-10-10. If you'd like to hear more, if you'd like to see some of these tools and have access to them, click on the link below. To find out more about Moby, it's mofaul.com/Moby, M-O-B-I. And to find out more about some of my other programs, mofaul.com/Soul Reset. That's a nice program that you can spend 45 minutes or so getting to understand my Soul Reset methodology and the system that I use that'll help you gain clarity on who you are at the soul level, which then is the golden thread that you can bring forward on what you bring to the table as a professional woman. You don't go to work and leave your person behind. You go to work with her. You are an integrated being, and you can't perform at a professional level and be successful. It has to be an integrated, congruent, authentic, aligned version of you. And when it is, it feels so much better. I know I used to finish reading a book or listening to something when I was in my professional life, and I would leave it on my bedside. I would be so happy reading it and thinking about life and how great spirituality is and all this stuff. And then I'd have a budget meeting the next morning. I felt like I was living this divided life, and I liked the life of me reading the spiritual thing. I didn't quite understand why I couldn't just be that during the day, but I wanted to make money and have a nice life and go on vacations and drive a nice car and pay my mortgage. So it wasn't until after my breast cancer journey that I pulled those two pieces of myself together. And there are more than two pieces of you, but those are the big pieces, that interior, soulful, spiritual, lovely human, and the woman who wants to totally kick ass and make herself be seen, recognized, paid well, all of that. There's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, there's things wrong with not doing that. You were built to shine. You were built to grow. You were built to succeed and have a satisfying, fulfilled life. That's why we're put here on earth, to shine and to show our gifts to the world. And if you're great with Excel and spreadsheets, if you're great with marketing and creativity, if you're great with sales, if you're great with creating strategic visions, running teams, these are part of your gifts. Not all gifts get paid for, but there are gifts that do get paid for. And as a matter of fact, don't think that some of your gifts need to be shoved into how you get paid. That sometimes is a disservice to some of your gifts. I had a client who was a CFO, and she loved cooking. She was an Italian heritage. She loved cooking. She really enjoyed being in the kitchen, felt her most powerful self. I helped her weave into that creative genius of hers in the kitchen, into how she puts together financial packages, talks about the financial health of the organization and the company and what things can be done differently. I said, you're creating a recipe, and you're cooking, and you're showing, and you're presenting. That let all sorts of light bulbs and soul energy free for her. That's how you begin to understand your worth. So let's get into the takeaways here. Number one, you need to know your worth. Do some research. Number two, you need to get real with yourself about what your salary has done over the past 5 years. And if you haven't gotten a 25 to 30% increase over those 5 years, why exactly is that? Have you stayed too long? Have you not asked? Are you overworked? Therefore, there's no way that you can contemplate a higher level job because you think that's more work. No. So understand what your salary ought to be. Look at what it has been, and then determine for yourself in the interiors of your life, why haven't you climbed up? And then do the work necessary to do that. And the first thing to do on that is to identify the education, expertise, and experience that you bring to the table, and get really clear on some of the very specific things that you bring to the table as an expert. I know they're there. If you need more help, mofaul.com/Moby. We can get things rolling with our Coach Moby in your pocket, real-time coaching. We'll see you on the next podcast. This is Coach Mo Faul. I've helped over 2,000 professional women up-level their careers through my soul-powered methodology. I know it's going to work for you. Click on the link below or mofaul.com/Moby and find out other ways that we can help you. We'll see you on the next episode.